So first is abstract classes को बारे में अलिकति डिस्कस गरौँ. So the first thing notice गर्नुपर्ने कुरा के भने abstract classes are special classes किनभने they cannot be instantiated at any moment. So कसरी क्लासलाई युज गर्ने भन्ने क्वेशन आएन र इन्स्टान्सिएट गर्न मिल्दैन र के doesn't mean कुनै स्कोप रेजोल्युसन अपरेटर लगाएर म अरु तरिकाबाट स्ट्याटिक क्लास चलाइदिन्छु. No, that doesn't work that way as either. Static method or property जस्तो पनि वर्क गर्न मलाई छैन यो इन्स्टान्सिएट गर्न मिल्दैन सो के गर्नै मिल्दैन. So this is the beauty of abstract classes. यस्तो क्लासेस किन बनाइन्छ भन्ने क्वेशन हो. Usually पछि MVC model view control framework पढ्दाखेरि most of the classes are abstract. The reason is त्यो क्लासेसलाई इन्स्टान्सिएट गर्न नदिनुको अर्थ यो हो कि इट डजन्ट मिन कि त्यो क्लासलाई युज नगर्न दिनु. यसको मतलब यो हो कि त्यो क्लासलाई इनहेरिट गरेर अथवा एक्सटेन्ड गरेर तपाईले अरु कुराहरु त्यसमा चलाएर अनि चलाउनुस् भन्ने आधारमा हो के. डोन्ट लिमिट ओन्ली टु दैट क्लासेस भन्ने क्वेशन हो. अर्को रियल टाइम युज भनेको कहाँ युज हुन सक्छ भने जस्तो एब्स्ट्राक्ट क्लासेसहरु छ यु डोन्ट नो के लेखेको छ त्यसमा. What you know is only the name of a class. Abstract class को नाम मात्र थाहा छ के तपाईलाई त्यति भए पुग्छ तपाईलाई किन previously पनि भनेको थिए OOP is like implementation based. It's not about you know कि कोड मा के लेखेको छ. You can just know what are the methods and properties and then you can invoke those properties or methods. So similar abstract classes तपाईलाई थाहा भइसकेपछि कि यो पर्टिकुलर क्लास छ अनि यसको यो methods र properties छ. Then you can just extend that abstract class and then you can start overriding the methods or properties, or you can use its own methods or properties, whatever you like, however it is convenient in your program. So let's look at its detail. A method can be marked an abstract as well, right? As soon as you mark a class function or method, function method, right, as abstract, you have to define the class as abstract as well. Only abstract classes can hold abstract functions. Now this is a primary rule of PHP. You have to stick by this rule. Okay, so abstract method को नेममा लेख्नु हुन्छ भने we'll see that in a while. Function class को function यदि abstract छ भने class पनि abstract हुनुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा यसले भनेको छ. All right, now that's an error. That's a PHP file error. Okay, another consequences is that you don't have to and can't भनेपछि you गर्नै पाइदैन, right? Any code for the function, it's a declaration only. This यो कुरा अलिकति confusing होला अहिलेको लागि. What does exactly this mean? I'll talk about that. You would do this to force anyone inheriting from your abstract class to implement this function and write the proper code for it. If you don't, PHP will throw an error. So actually explain if you make a particular method abstract, you are not allowed to write any functionality of that function. Just the function sum with written a plus b, right? So if that function is abstract, you are not allowed to return a plus b from that particular method itself. So त्यसमा कहाँबाट गर्ने गर्नको लागि तपाईले एउटा मैले पनि भने पहिला त क्लास abstract हुनु पर्यो, right? त्यसपछि त्यसको इनहेरिटेन्स हुनु पर्यो, त्यसलाई इनहेरिट गर्नु पर्यो पहिला, अनि त्यहाँ फेरि मेथड बनाउनु पर्यो, त्यही पहिलाकै मेथड, अनि त्यहाँ मात्रै कोड लेख्न पाउनुहुन्छ. जस्ट अहिले थ्योरी मात्रै स्टेक गर्नु, then we'll talk about in practical. अहिले यो देखाइदिएपछि that's it. It will be easy. And yes, abstract classes can also contain non-abstract methods, which allows you to implement basic functionality in the abstract classes. भन्नाले तपाईले अरु पढेको फंक्शन को मेथड को कुराहरु abstract classes भित्र अथवा methods भित्र हाल्न सक्नुहुन्छ. Doesn't matter. अनि classes भित्र abstract classes भित्र अरु मेथड हुन सक्छ जुन non-abstract होस्, जसमा तपाईको पहिलेकै प्रिन्सिपल लागू हुन्छ. So के भन्न खोजेको भन्ने क्वेशन यहाँबाट आउँछ. Okay, let's look at this code. So since I have used my abstract method, let's greet. I have to make my class abstract, that's the rule. Yeah, the rule is so I can actually just watch. So since this class is abstract, already you got a rule banda. So abstract class vitra, I can put an abstract method or a normal method. This is my normal method. This is my abstract method. Let's look at the normal method first. It's my name or age, there are properties of this class animal, and we have returned $this name and $this age. So $this we have already talked a lot. So this is pretty easy. What about this? this is an abstract method. So abstract method looks like this. Abstract method looks like this. Remember there are no codes written inside abstract class. Another thing to note is the semicolon after the braces. Right? There is a semicolon after the braces. Beginners primitive mistake on say. They write everything and then they miss the semicolon. So don't forget that thing whenever you are mentioning abstract methods. And if you know C or C++ for C++ programmers, I think you could have tamale dekhnu ma cha hola. What is this code in there? Kasलाई थाहा छ? अरे कसलाई थाहा छ? थाहा छैन? Prototypes. C++ programmers यदि गर्नु भएको छ भने you can know कि this looks like defining a prototype for the functions. So what is a prototype? It's beyond the scope of this class. You can just go and see C++ को किताब उठाएर हेर्नुस् के हो त्यो. All right. So okay. If you don't know, don't panic. जरुरी छैन कि तपाईलाई थाहै होस् त्यो कुरा. So obviously this is abstract. Animal is my abstract class and we have an abstract method. We cannot instantiate this class as the PHP rule says, so we have to inherit this class. Let's go and inherit this class. So class dog will inherit this animal. So class dog extends animal. Okay, let's look at the code. Here we go. This is my abstract method. And your abstract method लाई यहाँनिर फेरि redefine गरिएको छ, right? That's what this was talking about. U line. It's a declaration only. So this is a declaration only. Alright? And then it says you would do this to force anyone inheriting from that लेख्नुस् कोड लेखेर भनेर force गरेको. And that's what अघि नबुझेको लाइन यही थियो. So we now got it. कि okay के गरेर रहेछ भने यति लेखेर यसलाई डिक्लेयर गरेको. Now it has forced कि whatever class it extends, it has to write that method itself. So now it's clear के भन्न खोजिरहेको थियो. Right. So class dog will extend an animal and then there is a public function called greet. It has written woof. This is my normal class, this is not my abstract class. So no any abstract method been used. So I can instantiate this class freely and that's like previous fundamentals with the OP ko. No abstract methods, no abstract class, so we can always instantiate. There is another public method called describe. What it does already discussed. Right, parent could describe banne parts answer. So parent could describe banne. This one from method will come here, and I am a dog banner ke dekhaउँछ होला. Okay. So you actually यहाँबाट गएर echo गरिरहेछ. So त्यसको लागि return गराइरहेछ के. Another thing that beginners are prone to your mistake is that using $this or something else like that. Since abstract method class cannot be instantiated, you can instantiate गर्ने सकिदैन. So never use $this anywhere. You static method मा पढे जस्तै static classes मा पढे जस्तै just use parent or self, alright, or the name of the class itself, animal. So that will work. $this is strictly prohibited in abstract class. किन यसलाई instantiate गर्नु मिल्दैन. Okay. So let's try to figure out what's the output. Animal equals to new dog, so I have instantiated this class. I cannot instantiate my class animal for sure. Especially animal name is Bob. So the animal is my object, right? Animal name and animal age. Name and age is a public properties of class animal, but since dog has inherited it, you can use as an object for dog, you know? We knew this. Alright. Okay. And then what it does is $animal could describe banne method, यो method invoke गरेको छ. And यो method ले parent could describe method लाई invoke गरेको छ. So parent could describe method ले के on this name or this age. So already Bob र 7 भइसकेको छ. So Bob, 7 years old and I'm a dog. I hope that will be displayed on the screen. Bob, 7 years old and I'm a dog. And त्यसपछि animal greet, that's simple. यसको object लिएर greet लाई invoke गरेको छ, so it will say woof. Since there is no any BR, I cannot see any BR here. Your line मा आउने problem आइरहेछ यहाँ. So anyways, that will work. So abstract.php मैले save गरेको छु. Let's get my Jamp running. Okay, I don't need my MySQL right now. So yeah, Bob, 7 years old and I'm a dog and woof. No BR, so one line printing. Alright, this was not clear to you guys. Hope it's clear now. So I think this is okay, this is fine, abstract is fine. Hope abstract classes are clear. Let's move to exception handling. Now exception handling, I would like to warn you guys, this is a advanced PHP OOP concept. This is not a medium level. Abstract summer we were in medium level, intermediate level ones. Basics OP हामीले पहिले cover गरिसकेको, right? Intermediate is it's abstract classes and static classes, construct methods. Okay, those, an autoload method, that is another magic function to appear soon, that is also in intermediates. But exception handling is completely an advanced or expert level. Okay, let's try to deal with this. सजिलो छ, don't panic कि ला यो त खतरनाक रिजल्टले भन्ने जस्तो हैन कि, हैन? So यदि beginners level ले यो सिकेन भने expert कसरी भन्छ, right? That's the question. So okay, सबैनाको लागि एक न एकचोटी त नयाँ भइहाल्छ नि. जसलाई ओपी मा previously concept केही छ भने I think they will be at their ease as well. So okay, so what is actually an exception handling and where it is used भन्ने कुरा आयो. It's not written everything यहाँ लेखेको छैन. Exception handling especially कहाँ use हुन्छ भने like we did a form validation, हैन? Form validation we tried to do it in kind of intermediate level style. Means we used some of the functions, add slashes and HTML special entities, MySQL real skip पनि युज गरे होला कसैमा, I don't know के गराछ मैले. So अनि त्यसपछि अरु कुराहरु we used PHP to back to HTML, HTML back to PHP. So that is kind of intermediate level of practice. Expert level of practice भनेको you try, throw and catch blocks भन्छ. Just like try, throw and catch blocks. You use गरेर exception handle गरेर पनि we can throw an error and we can validate our forms. So actually implement किन यसरी तरिकाले गरिया छैन भने नि it will be harder for you guys. यो कुरा बुझ्न अनि कुरालाई implement गर्न it will be a little harder to grab on. तर at least concept चाहिँ भनेर जानु पर्छ यहाँबाट, right? भोलि गएर आफै चलाउन खोज्दाखेरि concept चाहिँ चाहियो के. Okay. So let's look about this 3 blocks. Actually सबैजना सर पढ्नु. So this is the format of PHP try and catch block. Also throw block. Actually try and catch block is more common than try, throw and catch block. People say okay, exception handling, let's make a try and catch block once again. Throw, they know it must be there. It's like mandatory. So त्यस्तै कुरा गरिरहेछ. It says a function using an exception should be in a try block. So what does this exactly mean is, let's go and look at this function and then this try block. Okay, so यो कुराको मतलब निकाल्नु छ. What does this mean? Okay, a function using an exception should be in a try block, right? So this is my function. It says check num and then it checks a number. It's very pretty clear कि $number, if number is greater than 1, then it can throw an exception. Now this is how we write how to throw an exception. Throw new an exception and then braces with JDQ, that will be an error message. So this particular thing is an error message that will be displayed on a screen. Okay, and then the braces closed, written true, and then if your condition false, but it will automatically return true. If this condition is true, it will completely throw an exception. That's it. यहाँबाट बाहिर निक्लिहाल्छ के. यदि यो कन्डिसन फल्स भयो भने इट विल रिटर्न ट्रू यहाँ बाहिर निक्लिन पाउँदैन किन यो कुराले नि अटोमेटिकली एक्सेप्सन ब्लकमा लगिदिइहाल्छ हामीलाई ओके सो एक्सेप्सन ब्लक इज समवेयर हियर दिस ब्लकमा लाग्छ आई एम नट सोइङ इट्स कोड राइट नाउ तर इट विल फालिदिइहाल्छ कि यहाँनिर इट विल थ्रो इट and then if it's not then this condition will be false and then it will return true and that code will start to run normal. That's what it says. If the exception does not trigger, the code will continue as normal. However, if the exception triggers, an exception is thrown. So that's what it means. Exception thrown भन्नाले यो error message screen मा throw गर्छ. How it will be thrown? यसले यो exception block मा लाग्छ and there is some code to do that. We'll see in a while. अहिले बुझ्नु पर्यो भनेको एउटा फंक्सन हामीले बनाएको छ राइट. Now let's go to throw block and try block. Sorry, however, if the exception you by so let's look at this try block. A function using an exception should be in a try block. Still trying to understand this particular sentence. It means okay, this is my function. It uses an exception. So in a try block, it should have a function called checknum. That is compulsory. Try to understand. Level. So if I made a function and used an exception, मैले एउटा try block बनाउनै पर्यो अनि त्यसमा एउटा function call गर्नै पर्यो. That's mandatory. That's how it works. And if this particular method is called, your function call हुन्छ method भने. Function call हुन्छ right? It will go here. How the program flows there, right? First, it will go in try block. Checknum 2 goes to checknum. If number is greater than 1, so 2 is greater than 1, that's right. It will throw an exception, and then it will go back to exception. It will go to catch the exception. It will run through this code, whatever it's written, and then it will exit out from the PHP somewhere here. Here. But there is always a condition when this checknum, suppose मैले 0 हाले भए this condition will be false. 0 is greater than 1 is false. Okay, true. So 0 is greater than 1 is false, right? So condition will be true. Your condition false, but so return true will be there, right? So whenever it returns true, and then you see your message देखिन्छ कि this if you see this the number is 1 or below, means यहाँबाट यो लाइनबाट कन्ट्रोल यहाँ गयो. यदि यो कन्डिसन ट्रू भयो भने कन्ट्रोल यहाँ जान्छ क्याच ब्लकमा. यदि यो कन्डिसन फल्स भयो भने ब्याक टु ट्राई ब्लक देखिन्छ र इको देखिन्छ. त्यही भएर युकोमा के लेखेको छ भने इफ यु सी दिस नम्बर इज 1 or below, obviously यदि यो नम्बर 1 र बिलो छ भने मात्र यो कन्डिसन फल्स भएर ट्रू भएर यहाँ आउँछ क्या ब्याक, नत्र त यो ब्लकमा गइहाल्छ नि. द्याट्स द कन्क्लुजन. ओके, सो भ्यालु मस्ट बी 1 or below. द्याट्स एन एक्सेप्सन हाल्यो. त्यसपछि whenever this is condition is true, it will go this value must be 1 or below, and then it will redirect to catch block. So throw block ma ke lekha chha. This is how we trigger an exception. Each throw must have at least one catch, right? So if you use a throw block or throw statement, whatever you say, we call it a block in fact, then it must have a catch to catch this particular exception which we have thrown. Let's go to analogy last present to summarize everything. First time a catch block retrieves an exception and creates an object containing the exception information. So this simply means that whenever you throw an exception, catch will catch that exception $e, and then it will display this particular message. How it will do is we have to use this $e get message. So it will automatically create a kind of class, a method, invoke right? So $e भन्ने एउटा के भन्छ अब्जेक्ट बनाइसक्छ. त्यो भनेको एक्सेप्सन क्लासको हुन्छ. ओके, एक्सेप्सन भन्ने क्लास प्री एक्जिस्ट गर्छ PHP मा. Now that's a unique thing. Isn't that wonderful? कुनै क्लास प्री एक्जिस्ट गर्छ in PHP. So सोच्दाखेरि अलिकति लाग्छ क्या. Okay, so we will see how many classes there are already in PHP. You'll be wondering कि सर एक्सेप्सन मात्र एउटा क्लास बनाएको छ, अरु पनि होला या सर कसरी भेरिफाई गर्ने कि एक्सेप्सन छ नै भनेर तपाईले त्यही त भन्न राख्नु भएको छैन. So we'll try to verify that those things in the meanwhile. अहिलेको लागि let's look at this. So exception already it will get a new object, and then the object already there is a class called get message in exception. So यस्तो class हो यो exception जसमा get message class method पहिलेदेखि छ, and that's what we are trying to invoke. And what does this method do is simply जे यो exception भित्र हालेर पठायो त्यही कुराले मेसेजमा गेट गर्दिन्छ. काइन्ड अफ साथी मलाई तपाईहरुलाई ट्रिगर भइराछ न होला अहिले पनि. यति पढिसकेपछि एउटा कुरा ट्रिगर हुनुपर्ने हो. म अहिले त्यो कुरा भन्दिन. I will talk about that tomorrow. I'll give you a hint. What should be actually triggered? The actual triggering is we cannot remake a class exception. That already exists in PHP, right? What I want you all guys to do is to think about how to make a new class called exception1. Pre-exist right? We want to make a class called exception1 and exactly use this code kind of right. अनि यो get message method ले यो कुरालाई देखाइदियोस् के, kind of making our own exception class. Think about it. We can make our own exception class. जसरी यो काम गरिरहेछ नि त्यसै गरी हामीले आफै काम गर्न सक्छौं. We'll talk about that later tomorrow. Actually हेरेर आउनु होला किन maybe म भोलि कुन मुडमा हुन्छु. I will tell you guys to start writing a code for exception1. So think about it कि त्यस भित्र के होला, त्यस्तो के कुरा गराछ कि after I make a method अनि यो यसरी चाहिँ यहाँ get message ले डाइरेक्ट message लाई देखाइराछ. How is that entire process working? And there is nothing new will come while writing the code. Exactly जे पढेको छ, very simple codes, right? So के भन्छ, glancing inside the exception class which is already pre-built, that will be tomorrow's अलिकति अगाडिको warm up गर्नलाई OP लाई. So try to think about that. Alright, we can make our own classes, yes. जुन पहिले pre-built छ, why don't we make our own? So we'll talk about that later. भोलि पढौँ न त्यो कुरालाई कसरी गर्ने. You think about it. घरमा गएर एकचोटि हेर्नु यो भिडियो and then can think about it. Okay. So let's try to run this. There is a space between these files. Let's make me save as. I'm gonna put a space actually. Space it's not good. File name and space is not good. Exception handling safe. Sometimes kune problem garails. So exception handling .php and message value must be 1 or below. So you देखिए value must be 1 or below. Okay, message यहाँ बड़ा आएगा, so don't get confused. So what if I make a 0 here? What will be output? This one, isn't it? If you see this number is 1 or below, can a condition false and then it will come back there. So let's suppress this, and if you see this number is 1 or below, so that's fine. This is working fine, pretty fine, right? So let's keep it 6 for a while and then save it, and then let's get back to that message again. So value must be 1 or below. So kind of I didn't have it, right? It's an error handling process by assessment. You know, it says value must be 1 or below. हामीले पनि त त्यस्तै त गर्छ हैन र त्यहाँ. This field cannot be left blank. Remember? So त्यसरी युज हुन्छ, रियल टाइम युज त्यसको यो. ओके, मलाई एउटा कुरा के भन्नु थियो भने एनालोजी टु समराइज दिस अल. क्रिकेट सबैले हेरेछ नखेले भए पनि, राइट? खेला होला, ओके फाइन, नखेला पनि ठिकै छ. खेलिरहेको छ नि त बेटर, यु विल अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड इट मोर इभन बेटर. यसको एनालोजीमा भन्दैछु नि, हाउ टु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड दिस थिङ. इट्स माई ओन एनालोजी. सो आई डोन्ट नो, कुनै किताबले लेखा छैन, आइम स्योर अबाउट द्याट. कुनै नेटले पनि लेखा छैन, आइम स्योर अबाउट द्याट. So my own analogy कस्तो छ भने नि about this try through and catch block लाई बुझ्ने कसरी भन्ने क्वेशन हो क्या. So there is a batsman and there is a bowler, right? Bowler right? Bowlsman. So whatever batsman को के limit हुन्छ, right? Suppose, for example, Sachin Tendulkar, third batsman. Let's put him in the place. He can play 3 balls at a time. Right? If a bowler throws him 3 balls at a time, simultaneously, 3 ball पठाइदिएर के स्वाट 3 ball फाल्दिएर के उसको. He can play that. Let's assume that, right? So once he starts throwing more than that balls, सपोज यहाँ अहिलेको लागि के छ, इफ नम्बर इज ग्रेटर देन 1 छ राइट. सो यसले के भन्नु छ भने इफ नम्बर इज ग्रेटर देन 1 he will throw an exception, means kind of त्यो ब्याट्सम्यानले यदि तीनवटा ब्याट्सम्यानले बलरले यदि तीनवटा भन्दा बढी बल फाल्यो भने he will start shouting on him. Alright, he will start shouting at him क्या कि why did you throw that, किन मेरो लिमिटेसन नै छ, लिमिटेड 3 थियो, म्याक्सिमम 3 थियो, तिमी 4 वटा फाल्छ 5 वटा फाल्छ. That's what's happening in this code as well. If you put this number greater than, if this condition is true, that means simply it will throw an exception, means throwing an exception means shouting at the bowler. Okay, and bowler throws the ball, right? Try to throw a ball, let's take it that way. So bowler tries to throw a ball. So try block ma, this what check number 6 is like bowler throwing a ball at the batsman. So 6 फाल्ने हो कि 5 फाल्ने हो, something like that, number of balls लिनु नै. And whenever the batsman is batting, यदि यो number greater than 3 भयो भने, अहिलेको लागि हाम्रो सिनेरियोमा कस्तो भयो भने यदि number greater than 3 भयो भने it will start shouting. के shout गर्छ? I cannot play more than 3 balls at a time. Okay, I cannot play more than 3 balls at a time. भने तीनटा बल भन्दा बढी पाल्न म सक्दिन है भनेर उले साउट गर्छ के. If the bowler, this check name is kind of a bowler, and it tries to throw a 6 ball, it कराइहाल्छ. All right, and if he throws maybe 2 balls or 3 balls at least, so you exception within, and it will play it. Return true means it will play it. Simple, play it, right? Got it? So that's how it is all about. So analogy. So if I write 2, then if you see this, then I hit the ball. So यदि दुईटा हाल्यो भने त हानिहाल्छ right? So I hit the ball. But दुईटा मैले फालेको बलरले दुईटा फालेकै that hit. Let's try 3. Taking the limits, 3 is my limit, so still I'm hitting the ball. Sachin Tendulkar irkayahala pani. Now let's give it 4, and then Sachin Tendulkar starts shouting. And ke gara yaar ye? I cannot play more than 3 balls at a time. Look at that. So now I hope it is more clear to you. As analogically was that score. So programainterview.com my PHP section ma gari auto load khojira chu, right? So how does this auto load works is it's a magic method first of all. So if it starts with a double underscore, I call magic functions they lekhera in PHP. So auto load function is also called a magic function because it has a double underscore in front of it as well. So constructor and destructor, remember already underscore, so those are also the magic methods. I'll talk about why is auto load functions used. I don't know what ke lekha cha. So yeah, this was important here. Yeah, some more. Because the auto load function is a magic function, it will not be called directly by you, the programmer. Means my programmer ho you will not be calling the magic functions. Or construct call garnu bhayo thyo, a destruct lam invoke garnu bhayo thyo. No, right? So similar is for the auto load function. It is not to be called, it will be called automatically. That's the reason magic, hence the name magic. Instead it is called behind the scenes by PHP, and that's what makes it magical. So okay, why is this function auto load used? Let's talk about that. You code ma ke garnu khojirahcha bhane sir ra heardakeri there's a class it has all the classes, right? foo.php, ab.php, except.php. यहाँ भित्र class राखेको छ के उले. Okay, and then the first try is it has done a $few new foo, $ab, new ab, except. So हरेक को object बनायो, right? हरेक को object बनायो जैसे ab, new ab, except, new except, few new. This will take up some memory as well as some space. Server runtime will be a problem. किन चारवटा क्लास पहिला त include गरा छ यसले. And maybe मैले तीनटा क्लास मात्र त युज गर्न सक्छु होला. Suppose maybe तीनटा मात्र क्लास युज गरेको भए एउटा क्लास त फोकटमा मैले इन्क्लुड गरे हैन र. अनि त्यो इन्क्लुड गर्दाखेरि त्यो त लोड त भएको छ नि त त्यो कुरा.
त्यो पेज लोड गर्दाखेरि त्यो क्लास लोड गरेछ राइट
के भयो यस्तो ओके सो लोड त भइरहेछ त्यो कुरा नाउ त्यो लोडिङले प्रब्लम हुन्छ इट विल टेक सम स्पेस मेबी सोच्न सक्नु भएको छैन मलाई कस्तो खालको प्रब्लम हुन्छ होला किनभने हामीले त्यस्तो ठुलो क्लास चाहिँ बनाएको छैन एन्ड वाट अबाउट अब यति लाइन भनेपछि बुझ्नुहुन्छ वाट अबाउट हरेक क्लासमा 20,000 लाइन्स अफ कोड छ नाउ यु नो कि स्पिड खान्छ 20,000 लाइन अफ कोड छ चारवटै क्लासमा अनि फोकलको 20,000 लाइन अफ कोड तपाईँले त्यहाँ इन्क्लुड गरेर राख्नु भएको छ अनि तपाईँले युज पनि नगर्ने त्यसलाई isn't that stupidity 20,000 लाइन अफ कोड केही न केही केबी स्पेस त खान्छ त्यो माथि फेरि सर्भर स्पेस खाइरहेछ सो ब्यान्डविड्थ खाइरहेछ ट्रान्सफर त गर्नु पर्यो युजर समक्ष सो द्याट्स इज द रिजन द्याट इज द इनफ मोटिभेसन टु युज एन अटो लोड फङ्सन वाट इट एक्चुली डज इज सिम्पल इनफ जति पनि तपाईँले रिक्वायर गर्नु छ भने नि अटो लोडमा राखिदिनुहोस् अनि देन द क्लास नेम अटो लोडको जहिले पनि एउटा प्यारामिटर क्लास नेम हुनैपर्छ सो इफ यु पुट इनसाइड एन अटो लोड फङ्सन समथिङ लाइक दिस वाट यु अनि के गर्ने भने एज सुन एज यु मेक एन अब्जेक्ट यो न्यू फू बनाउने बित्तिकै वाट दस अटो लोड डज इज अटोमेटिकली यो फूलाई उठाउँछ यहाँबाट आफ्नो क्लास नेममा फू राख्छ and then it will start requiring it and this will happen very automatically hence the name magic किन जब इन्स्टान्शिएट गर्नु न यो क्लास रिक्वायरै हुँदैन इन्क्लुडै हुँदैन फाइलमा as soon as you make an object it will automatically start requiring it from the server and that's the beauty of auto load it will happen automatically बुझ्नु होला नि कि actually किन चाहियो त्यो कुरा right so if you are not using a particular class don't make an object will not be making an object will not be instantiating a class and that will never be included in our file so we are saving our server space we're saving our bandwidth your site will be fast running so there are lots of advantages with this auto load function so that is the idea of auto load okay so you can go through this article साथै कुराहरु मेन्सन गरे होला I don't know के लेखा छ यसले so but the real thing is that really is that alright so यसले यहाँनिर गएर के लेखा छ भने this line मैले अघि स्किप गरेको थिएँ let's come back to that line well in the code of the auto load function will be called 4 times किन 4 वटा क्लासमा इन्स्टान्शिएट गरेछ simple enough because reasonify गरेछ because PHP will not understand the foo a b x y and yz classes so PHP will make a call to auto load function each time it does not recognize a class name so now you got an insight कि यो foo a b x z or y z recognize नगरेको कारणले what it starts looking is if auto load is used or not if auto load is used it will start requiring and त्यसपछि उसले बुझ्छ यो क्लास ओके किनभने त्यो क्लासमा त हामीसँग छ नि त त्यो क्लास राइट त्यसभित्रको अरु कुराहरु पनि छ so already you बुझिसक्यो हामीले auto load function is called anytime a reference to an unknown class is made in your code of course the auto load function must be defined by you in order to actually be called and auto load चाहिँ लेख्नु पर्छ नि फेरि अटोमेटिकली चाहिँ हुँदैन यो लेख्दिन क्लास पनि बनाउँदिन यो पनि लेख्दिन अनि खाली क्लासको इन्स्टान्शिएट गरेर त हुँदैन नि फेरि यति त लेख्नै पर्छ यो कोड त राइट अब यही कोड लेख्न जरुरी छैन you can use any यो भित्र जे लेखे पनि हुन्छ doesn't matter तर you have to use this parameter यो लेखेन भने it's an error PHP error फाल्छ and auto load function work with static function calls so we already know about statics and abstracts so this auto load function will work with anything doesn't matter so hope that's clear so okay that's it for OP we talked about actually summarize got some of what we talked about in OPs we talked about all the properties and methods how to make it how to invoke it how to make a class how to inherit them what are those abstract classes where should we use them what are the real-time uses of abstract classes we also talked about static methods and properties why can you कसरी त्यसलाई access गर्ने right using a scope resolution operator and kind of all the stuffs invoking properties and methods that's what we learned about function methods or properties को बारेमा scope मा कसरी problem हुन्छ के गर्दा inherit हुन्छ हुँदैन we talked about all those scopes and we went through examples I know there's several examples the Everest total example लियो त्यसपछि पछि hero heroine को example लिएर काम गरिरहेको थियो So we dealt with OP and this end of the OP. That's it in OP. We talked about पहिला basic कुराहरु गरे, त्यसपछि slightly हामी intermediate मा आयौं. We talked about all the required things and then we jumped back into the expert, that is through an exception handling, right? Try and catch block, or we also call it exception handling in PHP. PHP 5 को invention पछि actually exception handling and this static classes हरु आको हो. यो भन्दा अगाडि PHP 4 मा it was very primitive OP. So त्यस्तै यस्तो कुराहरु थिएन के. PHP 5 पछि आएको सबै कुरा static, abstract अनि this expert level concept of exception handling, how to do that. So that concludes your OP. So 3-4 कतिवटा videos are, I think you better watch them again and get a grip of your OP. Bholi we will be deciding on applying our knowledge which we studied in OP. Before concluding, let's look at some of the things. There are other things in OP which we'll be discussing later. Actually OP exactly end भएको त म भन्दिन, तर concept wise end भइसकेको छ. I don't know where I've kept that. Okay, so these are the functions you need to know for your OP classes, which we'll be talking about digitally in tomorrow. Let's talk about somehow. This one is what I want to use it again. So get declare classes. You मैले sort एउटा तपाईलाई hands-out बनाइदिएको छु, right? This one. बाकी पहिलाको hands-out जो लिएर जानु भएको छैन कि hands-out छ होला, strings हरुको त पहिले दिइसके, right? Okay, fine. Hands-out already did. यो तपाईको object oriented program के भयो, strings integers को त लगिराख्नु छ. OP को त त्यहाँ छैन, OP को भर्खर देखाउँदै छु कसरी दिनु. Right? So get declare classes. This is what I want to use this. यो के हो भने it returns an array of all the pre-declared classes. So it will return an array. So print underscore r is going to pursue, we already know. Fun fact is number of predefined classes in PHP are 136. Now this is what I want you to know. Exception is one of them. Okay, so let's run that code. Let's take a maybe get declare class itself will do that work. Let's save this. Master PHP and then let's run that. Here we go. And number, there is a class. This is all the classes that are already pre-built in PHP. Wow, right? So much. And exception is on the second list number 2 and then index 1 was right. So there is an exception, hence verified. Class exception exists cursor. Alright, let's look at this thing. Get class methods and class name. Let's try to do that. You bracket lit off terrible. Let's save this and rerun this. And here we go. Get message भन्ने class that is already in exception, hence verified again. अघि भनेको कुरा. Get message use गरेको थियो याद छ? So verified. There is such function, there is a such method called get message already inside my exception class. So they method used by person. You do not require अरू के हो यो construct is already there केही त हुनै पर्यो right constructबाट नभए त यो get message चल्दैन so I think this is again a new hint for you guys कि भोलिको मैले जुन भनेको थिएँ exception 1 बनाउँछु this method construct हुनै पर्छ त्यसभित्र पनि हाम्रो जुन exception 1 भित्र किन exception भित्र छ हेर्नु त construct and get message is what we are using get code file and you don't read this is very advanced concept beyond the scope पढ्नुसँग गरे हेर्ने हुन्छ it's easy pretty easy तर don't try to invest your brain अहिले नै त्यसमा अहिले यही बुझ्न गाह्रो भइरहन्छ alright